okay, interesting thing. When we did our massive lawsuit against the federal government, our legal team formulated a big stack of ATIPs, and those are the Canadian equivalent to Freedom of Information requests. And our team put together a whole bunch of these, and they were really important in establishing whether or not the government had any factual basis to do the gun ban back in 2020. And the government came back and they said, to get these ATIPs for you is going to take 8 years, if you remember, right? And I think we talked about it on the podcast, on the TV shows, like, yeah, the court case was unreasonably long, and something like that takes anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 years. And they're like, yeah, but your evidence, the evidence that you want from us, it's going to take 8 years. So too bad.
Yeah. They were never going to give it to us.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, just too bad. We're not giving you what you're entitled to.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 30 days.
Yeah, I got my finger on the scale, and too bad. I don't even care if you see me with my finger on the scale. So things got even more interesting recently.
That's right. So interestingly enough, with this government, the Liberals are very spendy. They have bloated the public service and almost every department, to almost unattainable levels. Like, it's just not sustainable at all. And interestingly enough, they did cut funding to one area, and that's the Information Commissioner. So when you think back about this, right from 2015, they talked about, we will be open and transparent by default. 3 different things have happened recently. They've cut the funding for the Information Commissioner, who oversees the ATIPs and the timeliness of them and whatever. They completely ignored a parliamentary report that was done talking about why it's taking so long and such lengthy waits to get your ATIP results, which is bad. Twice now they've refused to implement the changes that were recommended in that report. And then thirdly, really interestingly, the RCMP Firearms Report, we haven't had one released since 2021. Now, they've been done. 2022 exists. It's done, but they won't release it. And 2023, I imagine, would be due any day now. It would be completed. Are they going to release that one? Probably not. And I don't know if I'm wearing my tinfoil a little too tight right now or not, but I would almost think there's a reason that they're not releasing these reports. And it's because the data within them aren't going to support the policies that they've implemented. So, yeah, there's just a big mess of stuff going on for a government that promised to be open and transparent by default.
Yeah. It's a real mess. It's a real mess. And if you notice, like, I think the Auditor General was complaining because their budget was something like a fraction of what it should be. And then there was no ethics commissioner for like a year, or whether they even got one or something like that. And then they tried to appoint some direct family member of one of the Liberals or something like it's I mean, this is the government that complained about, the scandals of, and the backroom dealings, the opaqueness, the secrecy and the scandals of the Harper era. And it's wild. It's breathtaking in its hypocrisy and its corruption,
This place belongs to all Canadians. It belongs to you. But after a decade in power, Stephen Harper thinks it belongs to him. So now, this place is broken. Today, I'm presenting a real plan to fix it. Thomas Mulcair wants us to spend years wrangling over the Constitution. But I know Harper and his government are the problem. And the way to fix this place is to change the government, not the Constitution. Replace this government with a better one. That's what real change starts with. Our plan creates a truly transparent and open government that will put an end to the secrecy and scandals of the Harper decade. Of course, it will reform the Senate, but it will also do much, much more. After all, Harper broke a lot more than just the Senate during his decade in office.
Oh, yeah, we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
And you're right. You look back to 2015 and the way they talked then, and basically now they're just like, forget it. Forget the reports, forget the studies, forget the recommendations on how to fix this stuff, and forget the funding.
Yep.
Anything that's going to hold us to account, we don't support it.
And we don't need any ethics commissioners. We don't need any audits. We don't need any ATIPs. You know, those are the things. Oh, we got no money.
No money for any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because on Twitter, I saw Tim Thurley, who is a great researcher. Like, I follow a lot of his content. He puts out some really great material. And he was upset about this because I know there's a number of ATIPs with really important information that he was being denied access to that information. And he appealed to the information commissioner, and she was able to help him get some results. But of course, now they cut her funding. So shocking.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a surprise, and it's not surprising.
Remember, if you don't stand up for your own ability to own and use firearms, who will? Join the CCFR or donate right now at www.firearmrights.ca.